Good afternoon, Earthlings. My name is Luke, and this is a follow-up video to Greg Giles Has Been Possessed. And there have been some very interesting developments within that time, and I would like to share them with you. The reason I'm sharing these developments with you are not to tear down Greg's character, or not to make Greg Giles a bad guy, or to expose him as some bad channel or some Illuminati member. And even if he were Illuminati, we should be reaching out to heal him, reaching out to make him part of the whole, because only when we do that will we become whole, and only when we extend love to the darkest ones among us will there ever be any peace. We must love our children more than we hate our enemies, and only then will we ascend. So, let's throw all the spiritual, all the aliens, all the Christ, Bible, Buddha, all that shit out the window. And just take what we have in terms of base material living in the earthly plane. What do we have? Technology has been doubling every 7 years after a certain point. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, technology has been speeding up and speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. And it's getting to the point now in 2012 where when I was a child, nobody was walking around with cell phones, and now everyone's walking around with a supercomputer in their pocket. So there is a shift happening. The amount of data that we can compute and calculate is far more enormous than it's ever been in the past. Our ability to accumulate data and to draw conclusions from that data, the way we do that is changing. The speed at which we're doing everything is changing. Modern technology and the ability to process and catalog information is causing a shift. There is a shift happening. Whether you're an atheist, a Christian, or a New Ager, you must know there's a shift happening, and that's why it's important to talk about channeled messages. Because channeled messages are supposedly messages coming from the divine to help impose their light on us, our ego selves, to inspire us to create a better world, to create a world worth living in. And that's why we listen to channeled messages, for good advice and for guidance. So, for the last little while, people have been listening to Greg Giles and hearing some weird shit. They've been hearing some shit that's making them alarmed and scared, and making them feel like maybe an Illuminati member, a dark cabal member, has perhaps stepped in Greg's behalf and has begun mind-controlling people. I made a video with my girlfriend a little bit ago about the fact that maybe Greg Giles had been possessed. Maybe he was just receiving information from an egoic, demonic entity, or maybe he was receiving information from a government agency, something of that to that effect. And on the 29th of September, yesterday, or the day before, whatever, Greg Giles posted in his own words a post that said, "What's the difference between the Colorado shooting suspect and a Galactic Federation of Light channel?" Greg Giles goes on to say, "Absolutely nothing. You heard it right, my friends. This is Greg Giles, it's me. So please, everyone, let's get off this Greg has been kidnapped by the cabal and these words are from an imposter. I sincerely believed I was a channel for the Galactic Federation of Light and the Ashtar Command, but I have news for you. I was not. And wait and hold on to find out why, because this involves all of us, including your families, your friends, and every member of our galactic human family. I not only thought I was a channel for a higher dimensional communication, but I was also prepared, yes, listen to this, to arm myself to the teeth with automatic weapons and have a shootout with whoever came to my home one evening, as I was warned through the voice in my head it was going to happen." Then he goes on to say that he trusted this voice, and that he feels that everyone, including himself, are very gullible for believing in all of the nice, loving things the voice has been saying. Many of us have sensed that despite the tone of this voice, that it has become manipulative and perhaps egoic, and maybe even trying to sway us down the wrong path. Now, it alarms me that Greg Giles posted such a candid, personal response about his own impure channel, or that Greg, it alarms me that Greg has posted such a candid, personal account of what's happened to him, and that he's already removed it from his blog. So, when I read that, and that message will be included down in the description, when I read that, I thought that was as interesting as it could get. I was like, okay, Greg Giles knows he's being mind controlled by some fucking crazy reptilian or by some government agency or by his own ego. Whatever it is, Greg Giles knows some shit's going down. Well, I didn't think it could get more interesting, and it did, because I found this channeled message from Greg Giles that very same day on galacticmessages.com. And instead of it being something like, Galactic Federation of Light, unicorns and rainbows are coming to replace all your problems, it's called Message from Those Who Share Their Messages Through Me, finale. And he continues to channel this message, despite the fact that in his own words he feels that this channel is corrupt, or hacked, or at least deceptive. He's claiming that the channel is highly deceptive. And this channel says, many of you who clearly have been waiting for your ship to come, few of you, but not many of you, have begun to discern for yourself that no ship is coming. And we are, of course, referring to fictitious debit cards that have and never will be mailed to you. Everyone, including your channel, Greg, has been participating in what you may refer to as a research or study project, what we refer to as a great program. So what is this program that is now over for Greg all about? We can tell you, so they basically go on to say that, Greg's channel goes on to say that we've been fooling you. We're really not the Galactic Federation of Light. That, we are, that they say some very weird, strange things, and I don't want to ruin it for you. It's hard for me to even say what angle this entity is taking, but it's basically saying that everyone who reads Greg's channel needs to think for themselves, be less gullible, stop waiting for UFOs to come save you, and to get out there and to go create the world that you want to create, that you want to see created. And that although they're not the Galactic Federation of Light, and although they don't have souls, that they ultimately are here to help us or to support us in creating this world. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it sounds a lot to me like Greg Giles is channeling the fallen angels. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm just going to start talking out of my butt now, because that's what people do on YouTube to discover if they're right or if they're wrong or somewhere in between. The fallen angels are angels of God that made a deal with God, and this deal was to create the space-time continuum, which looks like a gigantic shell or a gigantic egg. And this space-time continuum or giant egg, which we live in, is separated from God, which is everywhere. That we live in a little pocket that this is God's idea too, that God basically flipped himself inside out to create this little dense pocket that's separated from the divine light. And that the entities put in charge of this project we call the fallen angels. And the fallen angels have one task, and that is to cut us off from the source with the expressed intention of having us evolve. And secret societies have been operating under this assumption for a very long time. And not the evil ones, the good ones. The evil ones do crazy shit like manipulate people and sacrifice animals and make people upset and fuck with their free will. But the so-called good secret societies, from what I can tell, have been working with fallen angels. Fallen angels will deceive you about everything except one thing, and that is how to become a better, more evolved person. because the second we are done becoming an evolved godlike consciousness, the second they can stop the charade or the game, which is cutting us off from the light. They find this burden to be very painful and to be a lie or a game. And they say that they are the ones that brought us makeup and that brought us weapons and brought us all of the great distractions that we're fighting against this very day. And it sounds a lot like Greg is channeling these fallen angels. What bothers me, though, and the fallen angels have been very candid. They've been saying things like, we basically are deceiving you into becoming better people. Sounds a lot like fallen angels to Luke. What bothers me, though, is that Greg Giles took down those 2 posts that I just told you about and said that he's now shining and that his real spirit guides or whatever have now informed him that he's been hacked, but he's been hacked no longer. So I think it's very important for you watchful motherfuckers out there to keep your watchful motherfucking eyes open and to stay skeptical and to go out there and create the world you want to see and to stop waiting for the government or fucking aliens or the external Jesus Christ to come save your ass. You need to find the inner Galactic Federation of Light. You need to find your inner Christ, who is really there waiting for you. And you need to overcome these challenges in your life if we ever want to make sure that the super conscious ego, or the government, doesn't try and run away with all the fucking cake. The cake is not a lie. Keep looking. The truth is out there.